Hey everyone, this is just a test recording to see if I can record dyeing stuff in my kitchen at 4 in the morning. So we're going to be dyeing some wool today, just regular wool yarn you pick up at the craft store. And we're going to be dyeing it with icing color. So this is orange. I don't know if you can read that label. This is orange. This is red. That's good. And we're going to be fixing it with some citric acid. So food dyes actually count as acid dyes, which just means they bond to mostly protein fibers, also nylon for some reason, go figure. So yeah, I'm going to start. I've got a couple of bowls of nice warm water. Hopefully the warm water will help the dyes dissolve. So this is just, it's gel icing color. It's very strong. I've already got some on my fingers from peeling the foil part off. And I'm just going to take a decent sized glob. And we're just going to mix this in as best we can. Not always an easy task. The gel stuff doesn't necessarily want to mix with water very well. But we will get this. I've got some spoons here in case I need it. Where'd that lid go? I'm trying to keep everything on a paper towel over here so we don't make a gigantic mess. And this one I might have been a little lazy and I did not open the foil all the way. And as you can see, even not like all the way mixed in, it makes some pretty vibrant color. I'm not sure the white balance on this camera is great. They kind of look like they're the same color on my screen, but I assure you one is red and one is orange. And yeah, it is mixing in okay. So yeah, I'm gonna get those spoons. More dye on the fingers. Honestly, you should probably do gloves with this, but I can't be bothered. I have pink fingers for a couple of days, and I have pink fingers for a couple of days. Alright, that's probably about as good as it's gonna get. And then we will do the same thing with orange. Spoon. Looks a little bit like Jell-O before it sets, but there's no flavoring in this. None. It's just dye. Alright. Actually, leave that spoon there. Put you back in here, because what we need to do now is add our acid. And this is just citric acid from the canning department. A lot of the times you can use vinegar. You definitely want to open this away from your face. It is very dusty. Don't really even need a lot. That's probably even overdoing it based on the way that made a cloud come up and it's tickling my nose already. Definitely want to be careful. Yeah, we're just going to stir that in real good, make sure it's nice and dissolved. Okay, so next step, the yarn. Alright. So this is just some ordinary wool from the craft department. And let me see if I can untangle it, which I'm going to need to do. I've got ties around it. It's not going to be irredeemably tangled. But for what I'm going to do, I actually do need it separated a little bit. So I've actually got it wrapped out into 3 separate loops. That's 1, that's 2, and then 3. Probably can't get a good angle on this, but I assure you this is separated into 3 separate loops. So yeah, so there's 1. There we go. There's 1, That one's 2, that one's 3. Now let me see, which one of these is the central loop? Because that's the one we're going to be working with first. It's this one. Best way to do this, I guess you're going right on the counter. Alright, so I'm going to lay this out here on this plastic wrap. Just kind of lay it out. Alright, you can't see all of it, but it's a pretty decent sized loop. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm just going to take a little bit of the color. I'm just going to make some spots along it. I'm not going to soak it. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Just like this. I don't even know if that's showing up on the camera. It's pretty pale on my side too. Might need to get a little more aggressive, maybe use the spoon. Let's try the spoon. Okay, just, let's see. Oops, well. Yeah, I think the fork's a little easier to control. Make sure to get up here near the join. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the orange. Make another set of spots going across. Although, it's actually looking a little yellow. That's going to be interesting. Alright. Don't want to get it too wet, but we don't want it like totally dry either. Now I did have this soaking for a little bit, so the whole thing's a little damp, and that's what we want. We want it a little damp. A little there, a little there. And I'm getting it on the counter. That's why I put down plastic wrap. Well, partially. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, it's kind of taking on a bit of a tie-dyed look, which is what we want here. So then, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this plastic wrap, and we are going to roll it up a bit like a sausage. Move that in a little bit. Fold that in. Okay, so that is our sausage. Then this we're going to slide back. Slide it back. I'm using this so I can pick everything up. So this is going to go just right here. And then we've got 2 more loops. Loop A is just going to go straight into the red bowl. Use a spoon to gently press that all the way in. Then we're going to do the same with the other loop. It's just going to go right into orange. And again, gently press that in. Alright, and that fits a lot better than I thought it would. Okay, this is just to keep it from leaking absolutely everywhere. And I'm going to take this over to the microwave, and I'm going to microwave it for a couple of minutes, long enough to get it hot, but I don't want to boil it, if that makes sense. Ooh, and I gotta be careful, this is pretty heavy. Alright, so that was in there about 2 minutes. It's gotten, I'd say, hot to the touch, but it's not boiling. And I didn't want to dry out these surface parts here. So yeah, this just needs to sit for a couple of minutes. Let's see. Okay, that's still pretty red, which is fine. This one still kind of yellow. So we're just gonna let that sit. And I'm gonna start putting things into the sink. Okay, and while we wait on that one, I think I'm gonna do another one just real quick. So we're gonna move this back here just to let that cool. This is a jar. Jar. And we're going to mix in some more citric acid. This is black gel dye. So we're just going to take a good sized blob of that. Oh, I love when it turns kind of blue. And we're just going to jam that in there. Actually turning kind of green, which is awesome. So this yarn hasn't been soaked because the goal here is actually to get an uneven color uptake. And again, this is just going to go straight into the microwave for a couple of minutes. I might actually go hotter than the previous bowls because I don't have the sticky out bits to worry about. And we're just going to put these back in the frame, check on them real quick. Okay, good, that's getting clearer. That's still pretty red, but the orange is getting a lot clearer. That is good. It's a reasonable amount of liquid that has escaped the plastic. That's why I put it on a tray. Alright, and this one was in there for about 2.5 minutes. I saw it just barely starting to bubble. So this one too, we're just going to let set. Eventually this water is going to turn clear. This stuff's still pretty bluish. Let's check on these. Alright. Orange looks pretty much clear at this point. Red is still pretty red. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but yeah, it's getting there. It's making progress. And yeah, there's quite a bit of color left in the black jar, which hopefully we get a myriad of shades in there. So you probably can't tell on camera, but this water is actually more or less clear, probably about as clear as it's gonna get. And this bag has been leaking all over this tray. This one was already pretty clear, and this one even is looking, it's like a vague bluish tint. I bet by the time I get this one cleaned up, this will be pretty darn close to good. So I'm going to dump all this excess water down the sink, rinse the tray a little bit, and I'll show you what we've got here. Alright, so not sure how that white balance is going on here, but we've got a red bundle, an orange bundle, and one that's got a little orange, got a little pink, and some bits that are still white, which is going to be cool. And this is actually still one long continuous piece of yarn. So once this is dry, it's actually going to form stripes, and that's going to be really cool. So yeah, this just needs to go hang up and dry for probably 24 hours or so. It's winter, might even be 2 hours at this point. The air is exceedingly dry around here. Alright, and then this one, let me check it. There's still a little blue tinge to it, but I think it's going to be okay. So let's go dump this out, and I will be right back with it. Alright, so actually, the water on top was clear, but the water at the bottom was a brilliant turquoise. So I'm going to throw that all back together, probably in the bowl this time, and we're just going to let that sit. Look at that water. That is not clear water yet. And in fact, I think I'm actually gonna pour a little of the excess off and heat it just a little more. There we go, nice and hot again. This stuff sets faster if it's hot, but blue can take forever sometimes. Alright, so there's still a little pale blue in here, but I'm gonna call it good because it's 6:30 in the morning. So, one moment. Alright, and here we are. It's probably not going to show up on the camera very well, but the yarn has done exactly what I wanted it to do. Some of it has picked up little bits of the more of the blue in the dye, some of it's picked up a little bit more of the red in the dye, because of course black dye is mostly made up of red and blue mixed together until it's just extremely saturated. And honestly, we could have probably left that there all night and not totally gotten it clear. So yeah, so the only thing left to do with these is give them a good rinse and hang them up to dry somewhere. But yeah, I'm gonna end this test video here. Thanks for putting up with it.